Let me ask you, in terms of the ambition, we are nearly at £100 billion worth of student loan debt. Can you give me a rough guide to how much of that you, the Labour Party, would like to reduce it by?
Well, Piers, let's be clear, 30% of it is never repaid. It's just, stays with young people for a long time. But we were clear on what we said. And at the time, Piers, nobody was talking about this because it wasn't an issue, because people understood what we meant by our student fees and student debt. The reason people are talking about it now is the Conservatives do not want parents and students to know that they are increasing tuition fees and ripping them off on the loan repayments.
We all understand.
And the Tories could do something about that today.
But that wasn't the question I asked.
Angela Rayner recently found herself in the centre of a storm when she gave an interview to Piers Morgan, which caused a real storm of criticism. This conflict affected not only politics but also crucial issues of accountability and communication. Piers did not spare her, asking sharp and uncomfortable questions, and Angela tried her best not to drown in this sea of pressure. At the centre of the discussion was a topic that worries millions of people's student debt. Earlier, Angela hinted that the Labour Party could take on the task of solving this unbearable financial burden faced by graduates. But Piers reminded her of her promise to cancel tuition fees. Now it's not about the future, but about the real debts that are already weighing on students.
I just asked you how much of the near 100 million, I think it's 76 billion pounds of student loan debt now, how much of that, in your ambitious plan, let's call it nothing more than that, do you hope to reduce that by?
We didn't have a plan. Piers,
you don't have a plan?
You're making an assumption and trying to leave me. We didn't have any commitment on the manifesto to deal with student debt. I've made that absolutely clear. We said from day one that we would abolish tuition fees. We put 9.5 billion to do that and bring back maintenance grants, which is 1.7 billion. No, but Piers, this is what I'm explaining to you.
No,
You're asking me about Labour's commitments.
I'm only asking a simple question. You keep answering my question with an answer.
The students took this as a spark of hope, but in an interview, Angela Rayner unexpectedly backed down, saying that it was not a promise at all. This abrupt turn shocked many and left them perplexed. It's not just a matter of words, it's a matter of trust. When you raise expectations sky high, people crave clarity, not confusing signals. Piers, as expected, did not stand during the ceremony and put a lot of pressure on her. He mentioned the staggering sum of £100 billion in student loan debt and asked abruptly, what is the real plan of the Labour Party to reduce it? Angela couldn't give a direct answer. Instead, she started talking about broad topics, avoiding specifics, and viewers might notice that she wasn't ready to give real numbers. It wasn't just an interview, it was a thought-provoking moment. If Angela can't answer difficult questions now, how will she cope with more serious problems in the future?
Let me be
that's
clear.
Not the question, Angela.
We did not commit to removing all of the debt.
I'm not saying you did.
We did not commit to that. It was not in our manifesto. So you can ask me questions about it, but that's not what we committed to.
I'm actually asking you what.
I'm on your programme today. I've given you an.
I'm actually asking you. Let me.
And I wanted to talk about those parents.
Let me try one.
Parents that are watching your programme today.
Angela, stop
that
talking.
Are concerned about childcare.
Angela.
Well, you're not listening to me, Piers. You don't listen.
Let me tell you how this works.
There's many parents there that want to talk about childcare.
I ask a question, you answer the question. It's not a difficult dynamic. You've done this many times.
I answered it, Piers.
Let me try.
Piers Morgan wasted no time moving on to the most important political issues. He raised one of the most pressing financial issues, student loans, which have reached a whopping £100 billion in debt in the UK. Morgan never tired of demanding concrete answers from Rayner. His tone was harsh, and his questions ruthless. What exactly are the Labour Party going to do about this? Angela evaded a direct answer again. Instead, she began a lengthy monologue about opportunity, equity, and education reform, but avoided mentioning specific figures. What's the problem? Piers wasn't looking for abstract ideals, he wanted clear and concrete answers. How much do the Labour Party intend to reduce this debt?
You have said, you yourself have said, you yourself have said, it is now an ambition of the Labour Party, your words, not mine, and endorsed by Jeremy Corbyn and John McDonnell. Everyone's agreed it's now the ambition is to deal with the student loan debt, which is currently £76 billion. I'm simply asking you, as part of your ambition, how much of that debt do you intend to try ambitiously to pay off?
Piers, we said it was not a manifesto pledge for us to look at student debt. I've been clear that Jeremy Corbyn said that he would, if he could and the money was there, he would look at ways to do that. I've made it clear there's two things that we could do immediately. Look at the repayment threshold and look at the percentage rate of loan, which will help students today, including those with student debt. They're things that we can do immediately.
How do they plan to handle this situation without increasing the burden on taxpayers? No answers were received to these important questions that worried the audience. This was not new to Rayner. The students were already disappointed by her previous comments, which seemed to promise relief, but were later refuted. And many hoped that this interview would clarify the Labour Party's position, but her evasiveness only increased doubts. Piers asked if it was evasion, or if she just didn't know the numbers. In any case, the lack of clarity has become a problem not only for her, but for the whole party. When it comes to such a serious issue, people expect more from management than vague assurances. This is not the first time that Angela Rayner has failed under pressure. Her record includes many interviews in which she stumbled on basic facts. Viewers remember her past performances, where she misstated important figures, misquoted data, or could not back up her statements with specifics. This is not just a student loan issue, it is a phenomenon of uncertainty that is difficult to ignore. Which companies really supported your Labour rights?
Debt,
Angela,
and they doubled the national debt of this country.
Angela.
And it's interesting because there's never a time where you challenge the government on that.
Angela,
and the fact that they've just increased the fees and the debt again.
We challenge them all the time, and here's my point, Angela. I agree with you about tuition fees. I have savaged Nick Clegg on this programme many times about tuition fees. I totally 100% agree with you. The Tories have done a terrible job in conjunction with Liberal Democrats in racking up these tuition fees. I've got 3 kids at school and universities and colleges racking up huge fees. I agree with you. But I also want to know, if I'm going to vote Labour at a forthcoming election, what are you going to do to actually get that money down? And I'm not hearing good answers.
Angela Rayner is not alone in her criticism. Rachel Reeves, the Labour Party's shadow chancellor, also tries to make an impression in her interviews, but both fail to meet the public's expectations of real leaders. The main problem is that both women get lost and confused when faced with difficult questions, instead of giving clear and concise answers. In today's world, where information is distributed instantly, this is a serious disadvantage. People want leaders to respond quickly to questions rather than prolong discussions for 10 minutes. And neither Rayner nor Reeves mastered this vital skill.
And Richard, the problem he's going to have is that they're going to bring up people like Rosie Duffield and other Labour politicians who've been really shamed and vilified for defending basic biology.
Completely. And what it shows is that actually he's completely out of touch with his core, very socially conservative northern heartlands that he has to win over big time if he is going to get a majority. And he's nowhere near it. And, for that constituency, they know exactly what a woman is. And they also do not want their children to be taught things around gender questioning in primary and the early years of secondary school.
Even Tom Hanks today came out and said that he refuses to read any books which have been dragged into the modern morality. In other words, all this issue around Roald Dahl and everything, he won't read them. If they have a disclaimer saying we've changed words and stuff, he said, I'm not going to read it. I loved that because he's in Hollywood, which is normally the wokest place out there. And
As for Angela, her lack of clarity was particularly evident in her tense exchange with Piers Morgan. The British audience watched with bated breath as she evaded the answers, instead of boldly and directly answering his questions. Reeves had similar moments in an interview on Labour's economic policy. The result is the same. Both women look less prepared and confident. The conclusion is self-evident. The British public craves wit and determination. Leaders who cannot cope with this task risk losing the trust of the voters. For a party seeking to regain trust, Angela and Rachel's problems with dealing with the press may turn out to be more serious than they realized themselves. Angela Rayner's encounter with Piers Morgan was not just a tough interview, but a landmark moment that revealed deeper concerns about her readiness for leadership. She couldn't stay calm and focused on Morgan's harsh questions. Instead of speaking directly, she evaded the answers and walked away. The problem was not a lack of ideas, but their implementation. Leadership requires clear and confident communication, especially under pressure. What do you think about this video? Share your thoughts in the comments. See you later.